Hey guys, this is Iggy back again with Dragon Blogger. Today I have the pleasure of bringing you an interview. This was actually supposed to go on during PAX, but I have an interview today with Jacob Freeman, product manager and kind of the face of EVGA. You want to introduce?
Sure. Well, thank you for that. I don't know if I go that far, but thank you. Like I said, or like Iggy said here, we tried to do an interview at PAX, but it was pretty crazy. We did a all-day live stream every single day, so it was like pretty hectic. Definitely the next PAX, we'll make sure to find some time, or maybe get you on our stream. That'd be cool too.
That'd be awesome.
So thanks again for having me on and for doing this after PAX.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for joining. So yeah, every time I went by to see if I can grab Jacob for a few minutes and we can chat, he'd always have a billion people coming over his booth, and just I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted him to do his thing, and he did a great job. And I mentioned Jacob's the face of EVGA because a lot of people, when they think of EVGA, one of the first names that comes to mind is Jacob Freeman. So very cool to have you on.
Thank you.
One of the awesome things that you were presenting at PAX was the 1080 Ti, the GTX. So, you have a lot of flavors already available today. You have the Founders, the SE, the SC2, and the FTW3. And, they all come with different speeds and everything. The FTW3, kind of like it is today, seems to have the fastest speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there, aside from the speed itself, I see that you have the, I think it's called the ITX cooling.
ICX. Yep.
ICX, sorry.
Yep.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so ICX, we launched it, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, starting on 1080, GTX 1080, 1070, 1060. And so ICX is a pretty drastic change on cooling for graphics cards. It's certainly the biggest change that we've ever done, and I think probably the biggest change that anyone's done on graphics card cooling in a long time. So essentially with ICX, what we're doing is, first of all, we added 9 sensors to the PCB. So the actual card has 9 sensors on it, so it's a different card. So with those 9 sensors, we can detect your GPU temperature, which you kind of had before, but now we have an additional sensor to monitor the back of the GPU temperature, which we didn't have before.
Nice.
We can detect your memory temperatures as well, which is something that we've never had before. And VRM temperature is another thing that is brand new. So with that, if you visualize a graphics card, on our cards, there's 2 fans. In the case of the GTX 1080, there's 2 fans. So what we do with the 2 fans on that card is we treat them totally asymmetrical. So we have a left fan, we have a right fan. The left fan, the fan speed is determined based on the GPU temperature.
Okay.
And the right fan, did I say temperature? The fan speed is based on the GPU temperature on the left fan.
Yeah.
The right fan is based on the VRM or memory temperature, whichever happens to be hotter at that time. So what that gives you is it gives you a much more efficient way to cool the card. It gives you lower noise levels, and overall it's just a more efficient design. It's the 9 sensors are monitoring everything that's going on with the card, so there's no risk of anything overheating. I mean, if you look back to a traditional graphics card, we knew what the GPU temperature was. The card knew what the GPU temperature was.
Right.
It didn't know what the memory temperature was. It didn't know what the VRM temperature was. It was spinning those fans based on a GPU temperature. Now the challenge is the GPUs today continue to run cooler and cooler. Pascal is an extremely efficient design. It really doesn't get that hot. So by using, and credit to NVIDIA for developing such an efficient chip, but all that means is that we need to find a better way to cool the VRMs in memory. And with ICX, that's what we did.
Very cool, very cool. So you and I used to work together. Mind you, I didn't work at EVGA, but I worked at a PC boutique years ago. So we worked on tons of projects together. And, back then you were still product manager, but you would help me, on a lot of the projects I was working on. And back then it was basically you guys sold shirts, GPUs, and you kind of started with motherboards. Today, you're offering still a ton of GPUs. Now you've broadened your motherboard lineup. You're offering laptops now, which is amazing. And these laptops are not just, rinky-dinky, run-of-the-mill laptops. These have, like, for example, a 256 gig SSD, a 1 terabyte storage, 32 gigs of RAM, 4K display, 17-inch display. And how are things going with those laptops? I'm just amazed by those.
Yeah, pretty good so far. We just launched a new one actually like 2 days ago, and it's a 17-inch. It's basically the same laptop that we had before. It was a 17-inch with a GTX 1070. However, what we've done is we added G-Sync on this one, so we now have a version that supports NVIDIA G-Sync technology, which can significantly improve the smoothness in gaming, make things look sleeker, better looking overall. So that one's brand new. And then in June, we're going to be launching another new laptop called the SC15, which is a 15-inch laptop with a GTX 1060 in it. And again, G-Sync, it has a high refresh, 120 hertz display. So we're pretty excited about that one. The 17-inch that we have today, it's a great notebook. I mean, it's a very high performance laptop. It has overclocking capabilities. It's a full aluminum chassis. Really cool stuff. But it is 17 inches. It's not for everyone. It's bigger, obviously. So with the 15-inch, I think that kind of hits a more. I mean, it's a notebook that you could carry around.
More portable.
Yeah. 17 inches is I mean, it's a bigger laptop. So.
Mind you, I mean, I'm a gamer. You're a gamer. We don't mind the extra size, but some people want a ton of performance in a smaller package, and I think the 15 is going to deliver.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, so when it comes to gaming laptops, there's no one size fits all. So it's pretty important to have, the various different configurations of sizes and things like that. So that's what we're going to be offering next on the laptop side.
That's very cool. Glad to hear it. I mean, your lineup just keeps blowing up. Now you're offering cases. These cases have temperature control. Then they have the power button, the reset button, not only on the top, which is cool, but if you put your computer on top of a desk like I do, you got to reach over and do all that stuff. But you also offer it on the side, which is perfect for somebody like me. My computer is right here. I just push it right here on the side. I can see all my temperatures, and then you have. Which brings me back to the good old IBM 5150 and Tandies that had the little turbo button on there. You actually offer a K-boost button that and does that overclock the CPU or just the GPU?
So it does three things actually. It number one, increases your fan speed on the system. Number two, it sets the preferred maximum performance profile in Windows. So it's, I don't know if I would call that overclocking, but it's setting the max performance state for the CPU through Windows. And then the third thing it does is it enables K-Boost on the graphics card, which is a feature in EVGA Precision. What that does is kind of similar to what it's doing on the CPU. It's just setting the max performance speed. So in other words, the CPU and GPU no longer downclock during idle. It's at the maximum performance state at all times.
Nice. So, like back then, I don't think anyone ever pressed the downclock button. Everybody always had it at max. So I'm assuming in your case, they're always going to have it at max. I know that's what I would have it at. So.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. I mean, it's when you enable that K-Boost button, it is going to be obviously louder. It's going to consume more power. But it's going to give you the maximum performance of that machine without any overclocking with one button. So, yeah, I mean, why not press it, I guess.
Right. Most of us gaming typically have some headphones on, so that noise doesn't, and that's music to me, but that music doesn't bother anybody. Well, it doesn't bother me or you. It might bother people around us, but who cares, really? So
I would gladly sacrifice my ears for about 10 frames per second more. So
I agree. That's awesome. So then on top of that, you're offering, which is awesome, but you guys are more known for GPUs, but you're also offering liquid cooling, not only for GPUs, but for CPUs.
Yep.
So maybe you want to talk about the CLC 280 a little bit, one of the cooler ones.
So that is a product that launched pretty recent, actually. So we have two closed-loop coolers. We call CLC, closed-loop cooler.
Yep.
CPU. We have a 120 and we have a 280. And those have, first of all, they have RGB lighting, of course, and then they have software to go along with that. You can change the pump speed, which is something that a lot of coolers can't do. You can also change the fan speeds. You can set profiles from the software. So it has a pretty good software stack that goes along with it. We're continuing to evolve it as well and improve it, fix bugs, things like that. And those are available today.
That's awesome. So, and I kind of giggled when I saw this, but you guys, motherboards and laptops typically offer only Intel, but this liquid cooler also works with AMDs as well. So I kind of giggled when I saw that, but I'm like, you know what? They want to sell them, so that's a great way to sell them.
Right. So we want to make sure that, for our CPU cooler, it supports any type of CPU that the user has. So it pretty much supports just about all of them, including AM4. Almost there for AM4. We're going to have a bracket that we're going to make available for AM4 that we're going to offer for free.
Awesome.
In the next couple of weeks.
All right. So all you guys going crazy over Ryzen, don't worry. EVGA hasn't forgotten about you. The liquid cooling will be able to take care of you too. And then kind of on the gimmicky side, but us gamers want to make everything look pretty. The Power Link. That is one of the coolest things. If you've seen any of my builds, or if anyone else has seen any of my builds on YouTube, or any builds anybody has, the PCIe cables are always a little in the way. They look awkward. So you've moved them from the side of the video, or the front of the video guard, I guess you can say, to the side, off to the side, so that it's easier to move the cabling around. I think that's an awesome feature. I would assume you've had your opportunity to play with those too. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's an idea that we had a lot. Man, that thing's been in development for a long time. But we had that idea, I'd say well over, maybe it's close to 2 years ago, and we've been working on it since then. So the idea was, how do we position the PCIe power cables to make them look better? So what we developed is the Power Link, and it just kind of snaps on to the PCIe connectors, and it reroutes the cables to the lower edge of the board where they're kind of out of sight. The tricky part of it is how to support a variety of graphics cards. And after we dug into it more, it turns out that pretty much every card is different. I'm not just talking like one has 8-pin, one has 6-pin, one has 2 8-pins. I mean like the actual spacing between the 8-pin and the 6-pin. It varies from card to card. Some are spaced farther apart, some are closer. Obviously, you have cards that have a single 8-pin. Sometimes you have 2 8-pins. So the system that we came up with on PowerLink, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but basically those power connectors, it's a little bit hard to describe without showing it, but those power connectors that plug physically into the card on the PowerLink can be removed. You can reorganize them, and they're actually on like sliders. So you can slide them. Awesome. You can reposition them to make them fit the width of your graphics card. So I don't want to say they support all graphics cards, but if we're just talking about EVGA cards, it supports probably 95% of them, I would say. We do have a list on our website, which cards are compatible. NVIDIA Founders Edition supports all NVIDIA Founders Edition. Outside of that, it varies. Some manufacturers actually reverse the 8-pin power connectors, like it's upside down.
Yeah,
compared to the Founders Edition. Those ones, that will not work. Obviously, the polarity is completely reversed at that point, but it's a very flexible design. It can support a lot of different configurations.
That's very cool. I saw that. I'm like, maybe I'll ask Jacob for one. I got to try it, but. So that is pretty cool. And then, going back to your video cards, I know you just came out with a whole line of 1080 Ti cards, which is awesome. But do you think, or do you know that you might have some more coming up on the way?
So we have the Founders Edition today, available today, and we have announced 3 other products as well, based on 1080 Ti. So we have the Superclock 2, which is a dual fan with ICX cooling, all the 9 sensors and stuff that I was talking about before.
Yep.
And then we have FTW3, which is a triple fan, first time for us, triple fan cooler.
Nice.
Still dual slot, but triple fan cooler with the 9 sensors. And it actually has 3 asynchronous fans on that one. So all 3 fans can be controlled independently. Those are 2 of the models that we're going to have. And the last new model that we're going to have pretty soon is called the SC Black.
Okay.
And so what that one is it has ICX cooling on it. So with ICX, when we introduced ICX, there was all the 9 sensors, a lot of technology that went into it. But we also made improvements to the cooler. Just the overall cooling of it was improved. We changed the fin design for better airflow. I mean, there's a whole list of things on our website that you can see about that. But so that SC Black card will have the cooling benefits, but it won't have the 9 sensors and things like that. We have a comparison chart on our website that kind of breaks that down further. Outside of that, kind of all the cards that you know and love from EVGA will make a return. We will have hybrid cards and water-cooled cards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're looking forward to releasing those soon.
I mean, the TI, when the 1080 came out, I thought, typically they follow it up with the TI, and I'm like, how can they right now improve performance over that? But I'm like, you know what, we're only going to need 16K of cache ever. So I'm like, yeah, they'll be able to improve it, just when and how. And so That's awesome when I saw that come. I think it was a 35% improvement.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the big shocking point for a lot of people, is the percentage improvement over 1080. Is pretty significant, especially if you compare, like, if you go back and look at history, like 980 to 980 Ti, it was always about 15 to 25% faster.
Right.
This is the biggest performance increase in a TI product that we've ever seen, 35% faster. And I remember when the first time we got our hands on one, I immediately loaded up Doom and I wanted to play at 4K. And yeah, man, that is a good 4K card for sure. I mean, it's easily 70 to 80 frames per second.
Very nice.
And Doom on 4K most of the time. And if anyone has familiar with trying to run Doom at 4K, that's a pretty good achievement there.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm kind of fresh out of ideas now. I don't know if there's anything else you want to go over, anything you want to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of covered the gauntlet of our products there. Obviously, we still have a lot of stuff in the works. We have Computex coming up soon. We have a new case that we're going to announce at Computex. It's called the DG7. It's more of a mid-tower case. We talked a little bit about our cases before. The DG8 is a kind of like laptops. There's no one-size-fits-all for cases. So the DG8 is a pretty big tower. It's a very big tower, actually.
Yeah.
So the DG7 kind of fits a smaller form factor. So we'll should have availability on that one probably around Computex time. And then the last thing that we're working on, actually not the last thing, but there's a lot of things going on over here.
Right, of course.
But the other thing that we're working on is, so we showed it off at CES, and what it is a water cooler, just like we have the closed loop coolers. We can use this word, open loop coolers. Basically what it has is it has quick disconnects on the closed loop cooler, so you can add another radiator to it. You can add another graphics card. You can do SLI. The possibilities are endless, really, for that. So we are working to build an entire ecosystem around this idea of having a modular type of water cooling that doesn't leak. If you disconnect the hose, nothing leaks. You can add more stuff. We even have tubes that are literally tubes filled with fluid. They're just extension cables, if you think of it like that. So it can fit a wide variety of cases. So we've been working on this one for some time as well. It's defining the correct lengths of tubing and things like that to fit every single case out there. We've had to do a lot of research on that, and we should have more availability or more information on that in the coming months.
That's very cool. So it's still a closed loop. Does that mean you can't fill it with more, or you can?
The coolers, the open loop coolers or modular coolers, they are not refillable. So they are treated like a closed loop cooler, but with the added benefit that you can disconnect every single component. So in the future, we'll be able to offer like radiators that don't have anything connected to it. It's just tubes with quick disconnect connectors on them, or CPU blocks or GPU blocks, etc. So you can kind of mix and match your components, and you can put together radiator, CPU, GPU, whatever configuration fits your system. In addition to that, we'll have different size radiators. We'll have like 280 millimeter, 120 millimeter, 140 millimeter. I think we even have a 360 millimeter as well. So you can mix and match, to make it fit your system configuration.
Well, that's very cool. I'm excited to see some of that stuff coming up. Well, I guess unless you're done, I think we're good now on this interview.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, Jacob Freeman again, product manager with EVGA, just interviewing with us, gracing us with his presence on Dragon Blogger, and soon we'll have some EVGA stuff to review as well, and of course, working closely with Jacob. Hopefully, we'll get you a lot more soon. All right, guys.
Yep.
This is Iggy and Jacob with EVGA signing out.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.